Welcome to a present from the past.
The show for all your paranormal needs.
Hello and welcome to another episode of A Presence from the Past. I'm your host Weldon, and today my special guest co-host is my sister, Dorothy,
Hello, hello, hello.
aka Dee Dee, aka, we'll leave that other nickname out of
Lots of nicknames there.
here. Anyway, so after talking to some of the people that watch my shows, I actually got a little bit of feedback about um, doing a kind of touching back on how to do proper investigations and stuff like that. So I decided put together a couple of videos talking about the proper procedures and going in and doing an investigation and how you'd start it, how you would go about it. So
We just don't walk up to random houses, knock on the door, and say, hey, we want to come investigate.
no, that's not the way you do it at all. You find creepy places, you break into them, and you take photos. And
Oh, okay.
oh, my bad.
Try that. We can try that.
That's how you get burnt down. Did you hear about that? The plantation in where was it? Louisiana. It's 100-something years old.
Oh, that's right. And then the people went in and did the investigation, and something wound up catching on fire.
Yeah, they brought candles in with them, a Ouija board, and other stuff, and we're doing their own little thing and set the whole place on fire.
Because a Ouija board is always a great gift to
God.
have with you.
I can do a whole other episode on Ouija boards, folks.
Yeah, I think we've been there.
And I think Dorothy would be happy to join me on that one. It was all your fault.
Absolutely not.
It was all your fault. So, we want to talk about proper steps on how to do an investigation and not be some of these renegade thrill seekers that go into haunted places and do whatever they want. I'm not trying to badmouth anybody that does that type of stuff, but truthfully, you're breaking into people's property and you're giving other legitimate paranormal investigators kind of bad names when you do stuff like this.
Right.
And so, like I said, I'm not trying to badmouth y'all. Y'all know who y'all are. It's just, it's bad form pretty much. And it kind of shows a lack of respect for the whole society. Um, anyway, now that I've been,
Sidetracked?
right.
Okay. So somebody writes in and says, hey, I think my house might be haunted.
Why?
I hear things at night all the time.
Okay. One of the first things you want to do when you get a call like that or an email or something like that, you definitely want to talk to the client. Some of the things you want to pick up on. Are there any outside sources that may be at play here, such as alcohol, drugs, mental illnesses? And I mean, you don't have to be an expert, but picking up on some of this stuff, you can kind of start putting one and two together and getting four. So,
You walk into the house and see a bong laying there, you're probably going to have a...
right. You see track marks on the arms or stuff like that. Or if while you're talking to the person, um, they just start talking about random things and stuff that doesn't make sense. There's probably some hints that this may not be an actual haunting, but something more to do with that person and something that's messing with that person's mind.
Could be dementia, could be schizophrenia, could be any number of psychiatric disorders or whatever you want to call it.
How would you know anything about that?
Not a clue. Not a clue.
Yeah. We're the only two in our families that actually went out and got degrees, and mine's in human resource management, and yours is in what?
Psychology.
Okay, so she knows what she's talking about. All right. And you want to definitely determine if it's going to be a reasonable investigation. And I'll be honest with you, some of the best places I've gone to for investigations have not been the most notable places. Like I've done we've done Goatman Bridge how many times and not gotten a single thing out there.
The only thing I got the last time we were out there was when we were walking back to the site where we were set up.
Right.
And I got, "You can do it," because I was exhausted. And I got, "You can do it" on the recorder. Thought that was pretty cool. Definitely not negative.
Now, I will say this much. This is going to be sidetracked a little bit, but Drea and Greg had an experience out there, and it creeped them both out. They heard what sounded like footsteps running up to them while they're in the middle of a path out in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. It freaked them out so much so that Drea stepped behind Greg. Greg's a decent-sized guy like myself, and he kind of stepped in front of Drea. She stepped behind him, and he was, telling whoever's coming up, "You need to stop. You need to stop." And the footsteps just ran right past them.
Yeah, I can see that.
No, I mean, but other than that, there's some places that get so much notoriety. Baker's Hotel, anywhere in the stockyards, and you may go out there and absolutely nothing happens. Whereas a lot of the investigations that ASAP does, which is the paranormal group that we're a part of, the Association of Unexplained.
Really?
Wow. Association of Unexplained
Phenomenon?
No, the Association of Study for Unexplained Phenomenon. That's what I missed.
There
I
you
missed
go.
the S. Okay, that's why I was like, where'd the S go? But the Association for Study of Unexplained Phenomenon. And a lot of the places we do are like personal businesses or people's homes and stuff like that. And people will contact us and be like, "Hey, I think something's going on in my house." We'll go out, talk to the client, and determine whether this is a legitimate place for us to go and investigate. And we also have permission from the owners and in order to do those investigations.
Not just the renter, the owner.
Yeah, it's got to be the owner's guys, because if word gets out that you can actually get in a lot of trouble for investigating places without the owner's permission, and if it's just the renter, they don't necessarily have that permission to give you, to come out and investigate.
Right.
But yeah, when you go out to these places and you're talking to these clients, you want to pick up on clues as to what type of entity you may be dealing with. Is it something that may be
So sorry.
reoccurring on a regular basis? That would be a residual haunt. If it's something that is responsive to questions or commands or anything, that's going to be more of an intelligent haunt. And you also have poltergeists, which I'm going to kind of break a lot of people down here, but poltergeist is not actually a haunting.
No.
It's a, what's the word I'm looking for?
It is an energy put out by someone who is in a
distressed or traumatized
state. Yeah. So you're looking for typically young teenagers, typically girls, sometimes can be boys, and they're in a position where they have been traumatized somehow or some way, and that is their outlet. So they don't even realize they're doing it. They have no control over it. So they may, some of us will walk out of a room and slam a door, and they do it without even realize they're doing it.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of times the energy tends to be focused negatively on one person in the house.
Correct.
Sort of like maybe a stepdad or a father figure or mother figure, whoever. And it seems like that person's getting the brunt of it while everybody else is just seeing little stuff here and there.
Right.
Those are the three that you can, I would say, feel free to dive into, investigate a little bit more. The other one is a demonic haunting. Demonic. if it is a demonic haunting, you're going to have certain signs. You're going to have where um, it's mainly going to affect one, or it could affect multiple people. But it, what demons tend to do is they try to single out one person and kind of separate that person from the group, and that person demeanor will change completely. If it was a happy-go-lucky person, all of a sudden they're down and depressed about everything, or
Very withdrawn.
and they start causing problems within the relationships and whatever else may be going on in that house. And um, I mean, there's other signs. There's the scratches, the Holy Trinity type stuff, which is the three scratch marks, which is a mocking of the Trinity. Stuff always happening at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is another mocking of the Trinity. Um,
Upside down crosses.
yeah, upside down crosses,
And we're not talking about somebody hanging one upside down. It's where literally the cross turns on the wall and stays up by itself.
yeah. And if this was a very religious person, a very big churchgoer, they may not be interested in church anymore. They may not go to church anymore. Um, I mean, there's certain tell signs, and I'm not a demonologist, so I'm not an expert on that. But I do know that there's certain things that you'd look out for, and if it starts kind of hinting that way, I would walk away. I would recommend getting either a demonologist involved, or for the people to talk to certain churches. And I say certain churches because it seems like, even though all of them are Christian-based churches, seems like some of them act a little bit differently when it comes to stuff like this.
Right.
And your Catholic churches and your Lutheran churches tend to take, or not Lutheran, Episcopalian churches tend to take stuff like this a little bit more serious. Whereas, say your Baptist church,
We'll just
or
tell you've been drinking too much.
yeah, I mean, there's going to be other churches out there that just kind of, okay, this person's crazy. Can you please stay on the other side of that while I call the police and get you off my property? Because I'm not feeling safe with you here. Um, but yeah, there's definitely other people to get involved. Um, and they are ones that you want to stay away from.
This is even one of those that no matter how much training you have in, unless you are an expert in the field, you can cause more damage than good.
Very, very much so. Demons are not one to be trifled with. We, at, while with ASAP, I've never had an investigation where there was anything demonic involved, and we definitely stayed away from them. We came close because me and another investigator, we were at an investigation. Where was it? I don't remember where it was at, but it looked like some of the signs were pointing toward demonic. And so to be honest with you, I got a little upset because I'm like, I was told we were never going to be dealing with demonic ones. And, I don't feel safe going to an investigation when I know or feel like it may be a demonic one. Because no matter what, keep this in mind whenever you're doing an investigation. Whatever's there can attach to you.
And follow you home.
And no matter what type of protection you take, what type of steps you take, it can follow you home, and it can affect you for a few days, sometimes permanently, especially if it's demonic. So be very careful out there when you're doing stuff like this. But we went on an investigation, and there was the scratch marks. There was stuff not working right. There was stuff breaking. There was animosity within the family. And so I pulled our lead investigator, which was Bill. I pulled him aside and I said, "Look, I don't feel comfortable." I said, "You told us from the get-go that we would never do a demonic investigation." And he looked at me and he says, "This is not demonic. It's a poltergeist." And he said, "The little girl that lives in his house is angry, going through a lot of stuff, It also tends to happen right around puberty when
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of frustration and stuff going on because they don't really know what's going on, and you get a lot of different hormones at play. So um, that's what was going on was a poltergeist, and we stayed there all night and investigated. I don't think we had too much that happened that night. Not on my end. I didn't see the overall results for that investigation because I was still kind of a low man on the totem pole, and I didn't get to see all of you know, all the evidence that came out um, for investigations. But
So, what are the most common types of hauntings you run across?
um, the top two are going to be residual and intelligent haunts.
Okay, and I'm sure you've explained this in the past, and I know what they are, but what's the difference between a residual
Okay.
and an intelligent?
Okay. So a residual haunt is it's almost like a broken record. You have the same thing happening at the same time over and over again. Let me see if I can think of an example. Miss Molly's in the stockyards. We were there. ASAP went there at one point, but this was before I was with ASAP. I went with Drea, and um, we were talking to the caretaker, and she was telling us a story about seeing a tall man in a long duster, long hair, wearing a black cowboy hat. He just walked into one of the rooms and slammed the door. She said she walked in the room after him to tell him that he couldn't be there. There was nobody there. And the reason I say that was a residual haunt is because the whole time she was sitting there screaming at him, "You can't be here. You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed." No response. And a residual haunt is just going to carry through the same actions over and over again, regardless of what's going on at that time. So if you see an entity walk through a wall, chances are it was a door at one point, and
Mm-hmm.
that entity is just going back in its old path of where it walked before. Um, the other one, the intelligent haunt, um, you're going to be able to ask questions and get responses to those questions. Such, simple stuff as "What's your name?" You may get an EVP of, something saying "My name is," or Jane, or whatever.
Or the little flashlight trick with turning the light on and off.
Yeah, I got a whole video of that. That, that was fun. That was the first time it ever worked for me.
Really?
Yeah, and it was something else.
It's fun to watch.
It'll definitely kind of set you back a little bit. You're like, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second.
For those of you who don't know, if you have the flashlights that are the twist on and twist off,
They're mini mag lights.
yeah, mini mag lights. If you set them somewhere on a hard surface or on the floor, somewhere where it's not going to roll around a whole lot, but you can get to where you ask questions, and if it's an intelligent haunt, then you can get responses through the flashlight. They can twist it off and on. So if you're sitting in a room and you're having a conversation and this light starts going off, it's not going to go off just because it wants to. It has to have an action put on it for it to happen.
And
So
the funny thing is I had a skeptic look at me one time and said, "So, how much did you pay for the remote control flashlights?" I said, "I got the same flashlights in this room over here. If you want to go take a look at them, I can show you whatever you want to see on them."
right.
But we'll get more into that when we start talking about equipment and stuff that we can use on investigations. Um, that is pretty much the first part of it when you want to meet up with the client and determine whether this is a legitimate investigation and whether you want to move forward with doing an investigation there. After that, you're going to get more into doing research on the property history, which is going to be our second video that we talk about it. You're going to look at the history, then you're going to go about the pre-setup, which is what was it? Questions and
Yeah, set up for the investigation,
oh yeah,
determine
yeah,
all that
okay.
good stuff.
And then after that is going to be the actual investigation, what to do during that part, and then after that is going to be reaction to I can actually kind of do an in-between between the evidence part and the other one, and that would be um, talk about the equipment,
Right, that's a good one to get on.
because I can definitely touch on a lot of the equipment that I think is legitimate to use, and a lot of them that are questionable. Um, and it seems like the more advanced we get with technology, the more I kind of get questionable on some of the stuff we
Right,
use.
absolutely.
So, we're looking forward to those videos. If you like this video, please hit the like button down below. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. If you want to leave me other comments or suggest constructive criticism, topics to talk about, um, if you want to make fun of her, leave me a comment down below.
I got thick skin. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
Also, be sure to check out, I have a Facebook and Instagram and a website, all a presence from the past. Check any of those out. And until next time, guys, have a good one.
See ya.